welcome back to another video. And as always, if you like these videos, please consider subscribing, shoot me a like or a comment, let me know what you think. And for this video, I'm bringing you something a little bit different than usual. For the last 2 weeks I've been in Scotland, and my first time overseas, sort of a holiday style trip with the family, staying in different parts of the country for the last couple of weeks, kind of getting a feel for everything. I thought it'd be a really great opportunity to bring sort of a vlog style video, kind of show you some of the different sites that we've seen. Not really a hiking video per se, but definitely have done a little bit of hiking here and there, just walkabouts. So at the start of the trip we made it to Edinburgh, one of the bigger cities of the country, and stayed in the old part of town for 3 nights in a flat. Got to walk around quite a bit around the city and sort of experience some of the history. We went and saw the Edinburgh Castle. It was a rough few days, you know, just getting in and just getting accustomed to the time change. Honestly, all of us pretty much came in sick. Those first 3 days, not even really feeling that sick, but just not able to sleep whatsoever. I don't know what it was, but I just could not get used to the time change. So by the 3rd day in Edinburgh, I was just absolutely exhausted and sleep deprived. Me and my wife got to do the Arthur's Seat hike, which is a dormant volcano in the middle of the city, where you can actually get an amazing aerial view of the entire city. There's trails that go all over the place, it looks like. We'll make good enough time, maybe we can go check out a couple different ones, but ultimately we want to make it up to that top point there. Once we left Edinburgh, we headed up north to the Cairngorms National Park, which is a pretty big area on the more central to northeast side of the island, and stayed in a pretty awesome place in a small town called Balbrigg, which was part of a bigger town called Tomatin. From there, I started to get much better sleep. I just had a better layout, and I just conked right out that first night.
Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove, that hills and valleys, and all the craggy mountains yield. There will we sit upon the rocks and see the shepherds feed their flocks by shallow rivers to whose falls
Not too sure about how the owners feel about me videoing out here, but taking a chance, and hopefully we'll do the place right. Yeah, we're at a bed and breakfast, as well as just an Airbnb where we're staying. They've got chickens, giant sheep farm, horses, pretty much everything that you could ask for in this beautiful place. And I'm quite jealous. But yeah, it's been kind of just trying to find little pockets here and there to be able to come walk out here. The weather here has been pretty cold, actually. I think it's probably in the upper 30s, lower 40s. The folks that own this area have been here for a few generations. And man, they own quite a bit of acreage. At this point, it's turned into snow outside. I thought I'd go ahead and show you some goodies I found at the record shop in Edinburgh. Didn't have a whole lot of time. There was probably at least 5 or 6 different ones within the vicinity of where I was staying that I would have liked to have checked out, but didn't have a whole lot of time, and just had to pick one. And found a place called Vinyl Villains, and I think it's been there since the 80s. Basically just mostly like bootleg and used records, not a whole lot of new stuff, but the goal for me was to find something that was sort of you know, specific to Europe, you know, some sort of European pressing or something that's not easy to find in the US. So as soon as I walked in the door, I immediately saw something up on the wall that I wanted. Cool bag to keepsake that actually has the address of the record store. But yeah, found 2 pressings, pretty cool. And both Iron Maiden bootlegs. And the first one here looked like a Japanese pressing, actually. Iron Maiden, The Fugitive. And essentially this is basically just a series of single B-sides off singles. It's got Wasting Love, Fear of the Dark, Be Quick or Be Dead, Tail Gunner, I'll Be Thy Name, The Trooper, a lot of live tracks, and I guess just alternate versions of songs. But pretty cool, pretty cheap. I just instantly saw this one up on the wall. It was another Iron Maiden, looks like a live bootleg, Beast at the Boat Club, and this was recorded in Bremen, Germany on January 22nd, 1981. Soundboard recording and limited edition 2 LP set, and actually has a etching on the 4th side. I'll pull it out and show it to you. But yeah, European pressing, London, and don't think you would really find something like this in the States. So yeah, most of the stuff this place had was like punk rock, not a whole lot of metal stuff, but pretty cool. Color vinyl. See that, kind of a blue marble, and etching, which I don't know if you can make out here, but yeah, looks like Paul Dietto era. A lot of most of the songs, yeah, pretty much all the songs on here are from the first 2 records live. So yeah, pretty cool. I mean, for the amount of time that I had to actually look around and find something to buy, pretty happy with this. So comes with a poster as well. We did go and see the Culloden battlefield, which was pretty close to the town of Inverness, which we spent a little bit of time in as well. Walking around the Culloden battlefield, pretty close to the town of Inverness. It's a historic battle site, battle that occurred in It was like 1749, mid 1700s. Conflict between the Brits, the British government, and the Jacobite uprising, which was sort of a mixture of Scottish, French, and British people that were fighting against the British monarchy that was in place and trying to restore their own idea of what the monarchy should be. Just got done like walking through the museum, and it's gotta say, not very easy to understand. Just when you're talking about 300 years ago, it's kind of hard to put yourself in the mindset of people in that time. But I'm not even going to try and recount the rest of the story for you because I just wouldn't be able to do it justice. But if you're interested, just look up the Battle of Culloden near Inverness, Scotland. We also got to see Loch Ness, which we only really passed by and got out and took some video of because it was raining and we didn't really have a whole lot of time based off of some of the other stuff we were going to do. Only had a few minutes to stop here, so just wanted to say, got to come here. Pretty cool. So once leaving the Cairngorms, we made our way to the west side of the island on what was probably my favorite part of the whole trip, to the Isle of Skye. The first day and a half we were there was stellar. And then from there, unfortunately, the weather just turned completely shitty again. This little village is called Burnesdale, which I'm still trying to get an understanding of how the city names and the little village names work here. It seems like every little nook and cranny in Scotland has its own name, even just for something like this that's just like a few different, a few houses, has a special name to it. So if you look at it on a map, it's just one after the other. But the biggest, I guess, city this is near to is Portree, which we passed through to get here. Nice little town, has a grocery, tons of places to eat, really cute. And then we drove into here, and as you can see, this is our little Airbnb that we're staying at. Just surreal, to be honest. From the outside, the place looks really, historic and old, but the inside has been completely redone, I believe in 2017. I mean, brand new interior, just beautiful. Figured I would walk around a little bit and show you guys what this looks like. Very cool area. And right behind the house here, there's a little gate, and you can actually walk up to the top of the hill up there and get some amazing views. So let's go check it out. Just do a little 360. Amazing views up here. Right off these two locks. Some of the names out here are just different than we're used to, and it's just not easy to remember. If we look behind me out there is actually another island, and I don't know if you can actually see the mountains out there, but one more island, and then beyond that would be Iceland, and looking northwest, I believe. Whereas looking back this way, over the lock and beyond, would be Norway and Sweden. the Old Man of Storr hike, which you'll see here in the video, which was definitely on the top of my list, and very famous trail that's been used as a backdrop in a lot of movies, such as The Wicker Man and Prometheus. Absolutely stellar weather for that day, and nice little climb up to the top. Very, very busy, but I can see why.
Came forth the liege at five loyal kin to a realm and sword to claim. And no which chance appeared to them. Her term she did outweigh.
About 3.5 to 4 miles, 1,200 feet of gain, nothing too crazy, pretty popular. But seeing as I've never been here, it seemed appropriate to definitely do this one. Just really cool. The rock formations up there are supposed to, from far away, it looks like an old man, apparently, like a wizard almost. And these rock spires are supposed to be his toes.
You don't even have to go the whole way.
Hello.
Hello.
Skye is kind of made famous in the metal world. I'm sure you're aware of the band Saor. And so I want to talk about Saor a little bit, but one of the interesting things I found out was we went and had dinner in Portree, and the waitress that we had was actually Gaelic, and I asked her for the correct pronunciation, and she said that it actually is pronounced Soar, the band. So not Saor, but Soar. But Isle of Skye is a pretty special place when it comes to this band. If you've listened to the album Guardians, I believe that Andy Marshall recorded the majority of the album somewhere in the Isle of Skye, and he's often cited it as one of his favorite places in the world. The Highland Mountains, as far as you can see, with lakes scattered all in between and on the cusp of the Atlantic Ocean. Just a little bit of everything. It makes a lot of sense why that place means so much to Andy Marshall. Actually, every Soar album is about Scotland and and it has a lot of roots in Scottish heritage and history. And I believe it feels to me like, just looking at the records, that Guardians really captures that the best. In fact, the last track, Tears of a Nation, I think has a lot to do with the Culloden battle, in which the battlefield that we got to see in terms of history of the Scottish people, constant warring between Scotland and England. It's amazing, like, when you start to read about history in this region, because, like, it's one thing, I mean, I love American history. Man, when you start going into, like, deep European history, very hard to kind of, sort of internalize everything that was happening. And when you go to places like the Edinburgh Castle and you see, like, just the periods of history that place played a part in, it is pretty mind-blowing and really just hard to wrap your head around. They obviously made a name for themselves in the previous record, Aura, and that was the record that Austin Lunn played drums on. And I think Guardians was really the breakthrough album for Soar. And it makes sense when you listen to it because it just sounds a little bit more refined, I think, than Aura. Saor, I hope I did the band a little bit of justice in talking about them here.
When I turn into a
So after our stay in the Isle of Skye, we made our way to where we are now, which is kind of more on the southwest side of the island in a town called Tenebrook. And this is really pretty off the beaten path and rustic as well. As you see around me, that house behind me is the landlord of the place. There's a little smaller cottage down the way you can see back there that we're staying at, and so I'm kind of just walking around their property here. But honestly, everybody here in Scotland's been really cool. In fact, I found out that people are okay, maybe not everybody, but the general idea is that people are okay with you walking close to their houses, or kind of, there's no trespassing laws in Scotland, so you're free to just kind of roam about, is what one of the locals told me. So I don't feel too bad about sort of just walking on their lawn here. But the caretaker, the landlord of the place is a very, very nice individual. He apparently is an engineer and has been taking care of this place and building upon it for a few years now, and has settled here with his wife, and they've been working on this property since. And they have other exploits with their boating business over here. Basically staying right on the side of the loch, and there's actually an island across the lake over there. Also told me that the lake here is pretty deep. It actually goes about 600 feet in some spots, which is pretty crazy when you look at it and you see it. I can't really imagine it. But property is really interesting. You can see behind me, we were just walking up sort of a trail that goes up the hill here, and there's all kinds of trails back here that actually, one of which me and the wife did this morning. So I want to just hit upon a few different things about the country of Scotland as a whole. Starting with accommodations, in terms of the places that we've stayed, everything has been really nice. From the flat that we stayed in Old Town of Edinburgh to these more rustic style places around the country. This being our fourth place that we've stayed so far. Just absolutely wonderful accommodations, as you would expect. I mean, these have all been like Airbnbs. And one of the things I noticed about the city of Edinburgh is it's just so clean. I mean, there's just obviously a real effort to keep things neat and tidy, and just even for a city, just not seeing anything out of order is kind of amazing. I mean, there's trash cans and recycle bins everywhere. Public restrooms, clean. Just about every single one of them that I've been to. I haven't seen a disgusting men's room as of yet. Even just from the city to these little rustic towns, everything is always clean. Just so much more so than in the States. They just do such an amazing job. So it's cool to see how the toilets work here, a little bit different than they do in the States in the way that they flush. Food. Everywhere that we've eaten so far on this trip, I don't have a complaint. Obviously, pretty much everything I have to say about the country so far is going to be positive. Lots to choose from. Obviously, the staple here is fish and chips, steak pies, things like this. I did not try the haggis or the blood pudding. It just doesn't look like it's my thing. Perhaps may try it before we leave, but based off of what I've heard, I just don't even know if I want to try it and stuff like that. No offense to anybody, but it just doesn't really look like my thing. Have tried a little bit of everything, especially in the city. We had lots of fish and chips, had some seafood. We had, more pub style food, hamburgers, just lots to choose from. I mean, just being in the city, it's kind of amazing how many places there are, just restaurant after restaurant after restaurant after pub after pub. It's just amazing to be in a place where there's nothing but non-commercial style places. I mean, it's just so different than being in the States where everything is a fast food restaurant or whatever, commercial style place. I mean, there's just nothing but more mom and pop type places that specialize in what they do. So what you're going to get is going to be good. And if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, lots of options, just about every place that we've been to. Another thing that I really love about the restaurants, places to eat here, every single place has amazing coffee. And I'm not just talking about like you order coffee after you eat your meal and they just bring you a black coffee. I mean, they've got full-on espresso, every style espresso drink that you could think of on the menu. I mean, even the pizza places have this. And you order, a latte or an espresso shot, and it's fantastic, a really good coffee. I'm just quite amazed at that whole attention to detail that obviously people here love their coffee, otherwise they wouldn't have it in every single establishment. Huge emphasis on whiskey and scotch here. I mean, there's distilleries everywhere. They take their booze pretty seriously here. Streets and driving. I didn't get to drive on this trip, but my father-in-law handled all that for us. We had a nice little vehicle. It's interesting just being in a car where everything is on the other side, right? Like they do here in Europe. You're driving on the right side of the car and the left side of the road. The roads here, once you start getting out into the more rural areas, it's a little bit difficult driving. The roads are very narrow. You have to share it with the other lane. There is no other lane. There's little, what they call a lay-by, where you can pull off to the side and let the oncoming traffic come through. So it's a lot of, basically drivers having to trust one another and make decisions for each other and respect one another. So interesting to see, like not seeing anybody pulled over. I don't really know how they enforce the traffic laws here, but not seeing any kind of activity like that is pretty interesting. When you're in the city of Edinburgh, you definitely have to abide by the traffic lights, because if you're jaywalking, people don't stop. So you'd be I almost got ran over one time because I just mistook the light. The Scottish people so far have been great. Nothing but nice people, accommodating, very interesting to talk to. A lot of people seem to be very interested in what you're doing and what you're up to on the trip and where you're from. Yeah, I haven't really come across anybody so far that has rubbed me the wrong way. On our drive on the way here, we passed through the Glencoe National Park, and I think besides the Isle of Skye, I think that was my favorite part. Even though we only got to drive through it, didn't really get to stop. Just seeing the mountains there, they don't look real to me. And I had seen pictures of these mountains, reminded me of quite a few Winterfylleth album covers. I think they use a lot of Scottish Highlands in their cover art. I always thought that just looked Photoshop, and man, when you see them, that's what they look like. They don't look real. And I really want to go back to the Glencoe National Park and do some serious hiking one of these days. The entire country of Scotland is like a natural wonder. I mean, just everywhere you drive and turn, it's just absolutely beautiful. Very natural feeling place. Even like in the city, like there's just a lot of parks, gardens, and emphasis on nature. And you really feel that here. There's not a dull moment when you're making your way through the country. There's just so much natural wonder here that you just can't take it all in. And this was quite an ambitious trip for us, for as many places as we've gone to, but I feel like I've really gotten to know the country just in terms of like the geography of it. the hiking options here are endless. This entire country just being just almost like the entire country is a national park. So if I have any Scottish viewers out there, cheers guys, I love your country. I absolutely cannot wait to come back here one of these days and just get a little bit deeper in the hiking here. As soon as I get home, we're just on the cusp of backpacking season, so I'm hoping to bring you a lot more quality hiking content this summer, talk a little bit about metal. I got some great shows coming up, going to be heading out to LA for Emperor. The Cynic Atheist Tour has just been announced, and I've got my tickets for that for Denver. As soon as I get home, I'll be going to see Halloween for the first time, and a lot of other stuff coming up, I think. So really, really excited for the shows and just for the hiking season. So thanks again for watching. I'll catch you next time. Cheers.